Hello, I'm Dr. Sarah Hibbard.
Hello, my name is Dr. Mark Rawlinson.
My name is Jo Robinson.
I'm Dr. Peter Kirwan.
I'm Dr. Chris King. I'm a lecturer in medieval archaeology at the University of Nottingham, and I'm also director of the Institute for Medieval Research. You're about to see a series of videos highlighting some of the fantastic facilities we have for arts researchers at the University of Nottingham. These resources allow our researchers both to enhance their research and to share it with a much wider audience, with opportunities for knowledge exchange and for community outreach. I mainly research and teach in the area of standing buildings archaeology, which is the study of buildings and architecture from the medieval and post-medieval periods. But I'm also particularly interested in the archaeology of towns and the development of urban life in Britain, and also the development of houses and households and the everyday material culture of ordinary people.
My research focuses on French opera in Paris in the first half of the 19th century. I'm particularly interested in the way in which it fits into political culture more broadly, the ways in which visual spectacle is a very important part of production, how it integrates with the music and so on. I'm also interested in music theatre more generally. I've done some work on pantomime, ballet, melodrama in Paris and in London. They're two very important cultural centres in the first part of the 19th century.
My research is based around 20th century American art, especially modernism and early American modernism, particularly the work of Charles Sheeler, who I wrote a book about many years ago now. I'm also very interested in what is broadly called American visual culture, the ways in which television, film, flags, maps, all of those kinds of things have helped generate the notion of America and nationhood. I'm also interested in the way in which that notion of nationhood has been exported around the world to give us a sense of what America is. More recently, my research has focused on contemporary American photography, especially since the 1970s and the new topographics movement which emerged in 1975 and engaged with the landscape in a way which challenged some of the older ideas about the sublime American landscape.
My research has always been about audiences and communities and place. Originally I did a project on 19th century theatre history, which was a project about 19th century Nottingham, which looked in a collaboration with geography at building a map of performance in Nottingham in the mid-19th century. My most recent research has actually come 150 years further on, but it's still got those key interests in place and audience and community.
And I'm part of the wider research collective in the School of English, working on drama and performance, right from medieval theatre through my period, the early modern, right up to contemporary performance and the drama that's being created today. My particular research is really interested in dramatic authorship. Dramatic authorship both in the terms of how we work out who wrote plays which are anonymous or misattributed, particularly relating to the works of Shakespeare, plays which have been excluded from the canon for historic or theoretical or even political reasons.
We're in the University of Nottingham's museum. This is a fantastic collection of important archaeological and art finds from different parts of the world. One of the most important items in the collection for me is the collection of medieval finds from the city of Nottingham, of which some of them are on display here. We've got objects like pottery, and in particular these really fine glazed drinking jugs which date from the 12th, 13th and 14th century. And we've got objects like cooking pots, shoes, keys and all the other material culture of ordinary people, everyday life. And this is actually what archaeology is all about. It's not about treasure, it's about the ordinary material culture and what that tells us about how societies and cultures develop and change through time. These collections from Nottingham are actually some of the most important evidence we have for the development of what was a very important medieval city. Nottingham has some very fine medieval archaeology, but not much of it is published. So the collections in the museum are actually a really important way of us accessing the archaeological record from Nottingham and also helping to share that with the wider community.
This space wonderful space, wonderful flexible space that we obviously use for performances, for teaching, but also for a whole range of research activities organised by staff, by postdocs, by graduate students. For example, a few years ago, I was working on a project on music and the melodramatic aesthetic, and we had a day devoted to Verdi's Macbeth, his opera Macbeth, which began with a couple of academics giving presentations about the opera from a historical perspective. Then we had a director from Opera North talking about the production that they were working on, and a couple of singers. So we had some discussion in the round, and then some performances of elements of the opera to illustrate the discussion. And then we concluded with a big workshop on stage movement that involves students and members of the public as well who'd been watching the study day.
This is the Djanogly Art Gallery. It's a very important space for lots of departments and the Faculty of Arts on campus. Djanogly has a variety of shows throughout the year, some historical, some contemporary. One of the ways in which postgraduates become involved with the exhibitions that staff produce and put on in this space is through the events that take place around the exhibition, through symposia and conferences. And students can often either arrange or organise their own conferences around exhibitions, or can help members of staff who are curating shows with the processes of putting the show together or organising those events themselves.
So the space that I'm talking to you from is the Weston Gallery at the Lakeside Arts Centre on the main university campus, and it's a place where the research that's done in the Department of Manuscripts and Special Collections in the university is displayed to the public. So it's a great space in which the work that I'm doing, I have an opportunity to share with members of the public who are using the Arts Centre to come to the theatre or to look at the art gallery over the road. They can come over here, and it's a place in which the best bits of the university archive are able to be displayed.
But also authorship in the sense of who creates drama. The writers, the scribes, the publishers, the actors, the playing companies, the patrons, the networks of that circulate and create a performative moment, right down to the audiences, the role of audiences in creating the moment of performance. And that's why spaces such as this, the new theatre, just 2 minutes walk from my office, are really, really important to me in my research, because it's inputting drama into the spaces for which it's written. But I think we can really see how moments of performance are created by the combination of a play, the decisions of a production, the decisions of actors, and also the reactions of an audience.